At one time and it should come red and you're hot.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawson County Board of Commissioners work session. Today's Thursday, November the 4th, 2021. We appreciate those of you that are with us here in attendance, as well as those who are with us online. We'll get right into the new business. First up, we have presentation of RFP 377-21 Construction Services Comprehensive Security System Upgrade for Dawson County Sheriff. Major Greg Rowan is going to make that presentation along with Miss Melissa Hawk. So Greg, looks like you're up.
All right. Good afternoon, folks. Can you hear me? I can't hear me. Okay. I'm here tonight to talk to you a little bit about this lovely comprehensive upgrade of the security system. It's been going on for a little while now. The conversation about it has, and been doing a lot of work in the background, but finally to a point of requesting you all to recommend or to approve a vendor to make this happen. It goes back to January 21st of this year when you all were has approved $1,500,000 for us to look out for a security system consultant and for the upgrade of the current system that we have. Of course, we did hire the consultant, which was the Tanner and Hoskins Consultants Group. And Fred Tanner is here in the back, and we can bring him up if you all need to talk to him a little later. We did release an RFP back in July of this year, July 22nd. And as per county policy, we went through all the procurement procedures, and we received 3 different proposals on it. So with that in mind, the scope of the work, and this may be where Fred can come into play here and answer some questions for y'all as we move along through this. This is what we were looking for as far as the project overall. Basically, the company that you all hopefully will approve for us will come in and test all the current equipment, run new wiring. They'll look at the different latest and greatest systems that are out there, cameras, software, so on and so forth, and provide those. Provide some quality assurance and quality control, and most importantly, provide some of the training for the equipment, the software, and all that kind of good stuff, because all the technology has definitely changed over the years. And then provide a comprehensive support and repair and maintenance agreement. And as you'll see as we go along through this, that's quite pricey. I think everybody's familiar now. These are maintenance agreements, and all really are they're really very expensive with just about anything technical. Continuing on with the scope, we did add a few extra items. Found a few holes, if you will, in the system between the jail here as well as the courthouse, in the jail and the courthouse. We wound up adding an additional 15 secured doors that weren't secured before between the 2 facilities. That's some here and some in the jail. Additional cameras, different angles, indoors and outdoors, for just so we can have a better view of the surrounding property, whatnot. We added some more new cameras, camera client stations here. Fred could speak to that if we need to. It's basically monitoring locations. That's what that is. We added cameras to the Butler building. And for those of you who don't know what the Butler building is, it's the old jail that used to sit in the parking lot behind this building here, what's the remaining building that's there, that we call that the Butler building. So there's no cameras down there. We do a lot of training down there. There's no there's no security, if you will, inside the building as far as cameras and things like that. So the other cameras we added were to the historic courthouse. There are none up there either. The K9 building, the new building that's over there next to the transfer station, there are no cameras down there. And we added some there. And then elevators as well. There's no cameras in our elevators in this building. There are in the jail. So we made some modifications to that. So we went through the normal procedures, had a group of folks here internally that got together and did the scoring, as y'all are familiar with the different potential vendors. Long story short, I'll kind of cut to the chase with that. We all did our independent voting, if you will, and decided on Southwestern or SWC, Southwestern Communications or SWC, as being the preferred recommendation, if you will, from our group there. And they scored as you see there on the very end there, they did score the highest, and they were relatively close, all of them in different categories, but SWC seemed to be a better total package. Let me catch up a little bit with this. Go. And the offers received page is where I'm at now. And this is, unfortunately, we got to talking prior to some of the inflation that has kicked in. The 1.5 million was the target price originally back in January. But as y'all know, the prices have gone up. The availability of supplies and ships and so on and so forth has caused, unfortunately, some price increases in there. So, but as you see, there, if you look down towards the bottom of that chart, it says service and maintenance agreement. It's kind of all over the board, 75,000. This is over a 5-year period now. The first group, A&E, 75,000. The second's $926,000 for service and maintenance. And then the SWC, Southwestern Communications, is 200,000 plus. So it is not cheap. It's unfortunate. Anyway, you see the bottom line prices there, and those prices do include that maintenance. But again, the maintenance cost is going to be spread out over 5 years.
Question, Greg.
Yes, sir.
I know reading the note down at the bottom, it talks about AE Security and Johnson offered a mixture of the preferred and approved alternate manufacturer and products. What's the difference in the equipment? There's $400,000 difference in the total price. So what's the difference in y'all's recommendation?
Well, it's a lot. It boils down basically to the technology available. I think we had 3 different choices of equipment, if we will, 3 different brands. And it's some of the, just to give you a quick rough example, is one of the cameras might have 2 or 3 lenses in it versus another camera only has 1 lens in it. So you get more bang for your buck out of the camera with 2 lenses in it versus the 1. So I'm just making that very simple, but that's why we made that choice and one of the preferred products. And plus, you're looking at longevity of the company, reputation of the company, just all those factors in there that are put together. So, and that's why the purpose of the note there. So as far as a recommendation from all the above, and Melissa may need to interject here a little bit on this, but this is, it's my understanding that the amount of 1.5 million was the original funding, I guess, that was talked about and approved. But as it says here in this paragraph, it says $1,405,500. Now that's minus the consultant fee is why that number is that way. And then the $669,909.40 from fund balance. So to add it to the total of the $2,075,409.40. Now that goes back to the Southwestern Communications as well. So I'm gonna have to reserve my time for Melissa if you all have any questions on the financing and all. So I know it just as it's written there, so as y'all can imagine, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, or Melissa, or even Fred, if you'd like to talk to either one.
Questions for Greg or anyone else?
But the 203, almost 204,000 is over 5 years, right?
Correct.
Is that got to be paid up front?
No,
So
sir.
we paid it.
We'll have
So
to,
it'd be divided by 5.
yeah, we'll have to budget that out.
So I have added a number down some on the or fund.
Yeah, if you take away that $203,000, it does come up to
So-
$2,079,000.
So the 669,909 be reimbursed by Splosh 7. That's what you have here.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just be a temporary general fund expense, that part. And if the consultant could come up, I would, you did what you could to explain the difference in equipment, but I'd like a little bit more detail.
Good with that. Fred,
Sure. Sure, Fred Tanner, thank you for the opportunity. But so in our specifications, and we've been doing this 40 years, by the way. And so over the time, we have developed a set of specifications that, and we specify top of the line equipment to be bid. And so Southwest Communications, they, when we evaluated their bids, probably 95-97% of the items that they submitted were exactly what we specified. And then the A&E, probably 50 or 60% they of what we specified they submitted. Then Johnson Controls was just off the chart. So and then it was bid, when prices were extremely high, a 4x8 sheet of lumber was almost $100 in certain places. So, but we believe that, and we added a bunch of some security cameras and additional doors and other items. The scope kind of grew a little bit. So.
With the issues in supply chain, are they able to acquire the resources that are needed to complete the project?
Yes, so we have another job that was on hold. The computer chips are the biggest issue, as everybody knows. And there's two, from what we understand, there's two companies in the world, and they're both in Asia, that are manufacturing these chips. Now, there's a couple of companies looking to start up a chip manufacturing plant here in the US, actually in the Southeast. And so that's coming along, but from what we understand, it takes about 2 years to start up a plant and get the chips feeding back into the system. But they are doing a better job of manufacturing these, and our other project is these chips are supplied and it's back online. So we anticipate this one to be on time, not be held up by manufacturers of components. The camera systems, we were told that they're ready to go. So then it boils down to the PLCs, the PCs that operate the touchscreen lock and control system and the client station, which is also a PC. They'll be sitting side by side at each control station. Internal to those, you're going to have 3 or 4 different microprocessors. Those are the items.
So with your expertise here, so you would tell us as a board that the products that you put in the RFP would give us the longevity and the durability that we seek.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what is that longevity? I'm afraid to ask.
36 months.
Well,
It changes. I'm
36
afraid
months.
it'd be, obsolete. Why? I'm surprised it'd be that long.
your touchscreen and camera systems with the maintenance contract. That's very important to have a comprehensive maintenance contract where they can come by and service this equipment on a regular basis. So we're seeing some facilities that are getting 15 to 20 years out of them with upgrades now. So, I mean, the cameras are the fastest changing technology out there. I mean, it's almost weekly that we hear about something new, but you're getting the latest and greatest. And that's not today, that's when they install it. And at the end of the project, they are required by our specifications to upgrade that software before they walk out the door, turn it over to the other.
And what's the installation timeframe?
We specified 270 days. Yes, yeah, 270 days. And that we will negotiate. When we award the contract, that's the first thing we'll do is bring the contractor in here. And we will sit down and talk about scheduling and phasing and which area to service, to renovate first, and which one to do second, since it is an occupied facility.
Yeah, that was a follow-up question. So we won't have any downtime of our current system while the system's being integrated.
You'll have areas, yeah, they have to take them, they have to cut the wires off and remove the old equipment. So that's part of the phasing that we'll talk about with them. So you may have one pod of the housing unit that has to go down, and it'll, then we have to go on keys for the life safety reasons. So, but typically those are over the weekend or 3 or 4 days downtime. So they take it down. We allow them to work at night and overtime to as fast as they can, and the best time that suits the facility and the staff. So that's all worked out during negotiations with them. We've done it many times.
Is this company, where are they located? Do they have, like an area service day? Like if they need something that they could be here today or tomorrow or?
Yes, that is a strong paragraph in our specifications. They are required to, if you call in a problem, they're to respond by phone, and they're to get here within 24 hours. Their home office is in Decatur, Alabama, but they do have an office here in Atlanta.
Other questions? Thank y'all.
Sure, thank you.
All right, next up, we have presentation of the creation of a new Traffic Bureau Division, Court Administrator Jason Stephenson, and the judge.
It's me.
Come on up.
I needed a break from the trial upstairs, so I thought I'd.
Took a
come down
break.
here.
All right.
All right. The Traffic Violations Bureau is something that we've been talking about, especially when we decided that in talking to Chairman Thurman about our budget, that we wanted to go to the uniform citation system for some misdemeanors that is allowed now. We thought that that would be a good way to do it. In order to do that, we'd have to have regular calendars. We might as well do the traffic as well. We have talked to, actually Judge Steele and Judge Bearden are the ones that have really come up with the details of the plan. Although we've had a Traffic Violations Bureau in Hall County since I was state court judge many, many, many years ago. So we have a good blueprint of how to do this in the clerk's office. So we're asking that some money go into the clerk's office, and Jason has the actual numbers, but I wanted to give you the background. He needs a person, and he needs some things changed because we would move the law library around, and we would have an actual clerk that was dedicated to taking in money and handling the traffic violations.
Let me ask you something right there.
Yes,
We talk about the employee.
yes.
Is there an employee in the probate court currently that does this traffic case stuff?
I'm sure there is. I don't.
That could
I
be
can tell you
moved?
that this is where we are with that. Judge Bearden spoke to Judge Burt
Mhm.
and briefly talked to her about it. And then I tried to meet with her about the more details about it and have been unable to do that. So
Is that something we think we could find out?
she is concerned about losing an employee. I do believe that she has growing numbers of traffic citations and has asked for more employees. So we would suggest that the employee go to the clerk's office.
Yeah, I know,
for
but I'm just
this,
talking
if we
about-
call this. I'm not comfortable.
Do you have any idea what
discussing her
percentage of
office.
the probate court's job is traffic?
I don't.
Is there a way to find out?
I'm sure there is.
Okay. Thank you. Continue.
Okay. All right. So we would have the Traffic Violations Bureau, the Magistrate Court would help us with that. We would have regular calendars. We would change some of the rules about the numbers that are collected for that, so that it would probably be more similar to what is collected in Hall County for those fines and fees. And we think that this will eventually pay for itself. Won't initially right now, because we're asking for 95,062 for an employee and the rest for some one-time costs to move some things around. So Justin is here too, Mr. Powers, our clerk. Jason is here with the details. Do y'all have any questions about the process and why we wanted to do this?
Questions?
All right, we'll let Jason talk about that.
Go ahead, Jason.
Just real briefly, because I think Judge Goslin hit those, and you have in the comment section of your agenda form, specifically the budget adjustments that are requested. And again, this is really crystallized fairly quickly for the Superior Court in the last few weeks after that conversation with Chairman Thurman. And this creates a traffic bureau that, rather than is supported by one probate judge, will have 3 to 4 judges that are able to support a monthly or bi-monthly traffic court date. Judge Deal would also be here with regular trial dates, and would allow us to, in 2020, when we suspended all non-essential hearings in the courthouse, that included traffic citations. And I think Judge Burt would tell you that there's continues to be some of a COVID backlog in traffic numbers. Under Judge Burt's leadership and some assistance from Judge Tarnacki and Judge Bearden, they closed out, I don't know, I think 100 of those one week here recently, but there are still about 700 cases that are sitting there now in probate court. I do know that. And this would allow 3 or 4 judges to step in with some regular court dates that will chew through that backlog, I think, fairly quickly. Administratively, this excites the administrator in me, because we do a ton of traffic in Hall County, but we have, you actually in Dawson have twice the citation rate per capita than Hall County does. But we do about $2.5 million in state court, Hall County, and my office works and supports that effort directly. And so there is some learned knowledge from 3 state court judges and a clerk's office that's collected $2.5 million and 13,000 citations a year that I think we can bring to bear in setting up a predictable, regular traffic court and a uniform fee schedule across the judicial circuit that administratively makes a lot of sense. To accomplish and to get there, as Judge Goslin mentioned, Justin would need a traffic court clerk to handle about 4,000 cases a year. We would locate that, and he and I have worked very quickly over the last 2 weeks, would locate that employee where the current law library is now. That requires some blinds, some workstations, a new service counter and a window, and then would also require us to relocate that current law library. The judges have asked me to get with Mr. Headley about where that law library could be relocated to, and work with this board and him on. And my office has 2 kind of alternate locations in this building, and moving to mostly a virtual law library, reducing the footprint needed for. You've seen the books that are in there, but I think we'll have those details with Mr. Headley's input and with the Law Library Board of Trustees input. We haven't convened that meeting until we presented this idea to you. But about $33,000 in one-time expenses, 8 of that to go towards the Law Library relocation, and $25,000. And we're getting more specific numbers on that very quickly. But that's kind of a not to exceed number at this point. Specific questions?
Questions?
Is the way that we are arranged unique, or is it pretty standard with other communities?
I can tell you anecdotally, it is increasingly uncommon for probate court to handle traffic. That's not a factor in Superior Court's this proposal, but it is increasingly unique. Probate court has some additional areas of law. They've got expanded jurisdiction from, I think it was House Bill 865 last year, guardianships, conservatorships. I think all of those are growing as the population in Dawson County. I hesitate to speak to that because I don't have caseload information from Judge Burt to give you. But I think that probate courts caseload is increasing as Dawson County's population has gone up.
You said we had a backlog of 700 cases. You know what span of time that covers? Are we a year behind on something? or
I
you
don't.
know? And what are the implications that these are late, that they haven't been handled? You got some people that are tickled to death because they think, boy, I've got by with it, or, you know, what are the implications? If
I
they're not
imagine
handled
so.
quickly?
Y-
Is it costing us money? through
Well,
Fines and.
there are cases that haven't been collected. So both for Hall County citizens that haven't been able to close out their cases and perhaps contest those charges,
Mhm.
or to pay those and move on. Now, they can pay it and still without coming into a court date.
Okay,
They can do that if they choose.
just settle it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But without a court date to kind of force the issue,
Mhm.
then that collections will certainly suffer in the meantime.
Mhm. Okay.
The final thing, I mean, with all due respect, you guys constantly ask for more resources and funding. You're coming before us asking to take on more work, but you're not asking for more funding. So I'm kind of conflicted in why the change of heart. Not a change of heart, but
Yeah.
just your position.
That's a fantastic question. And Superior Court didn't go looking for 4,000 more cases. I'll tell you the linchpin in this is magistrate court. And this is really a collaborative effort from your entire court system, because there are some advantages to each of the courts that this brings about. So magistrate court and Chairman Thurman had expressed a desire for this uniform citation system. It doesn't make sense judicial economy from an efficiency system to have traffic citations in one court and misdemeanor citations in another court. If we can handle those together, then that's just a more efficient process. And so Judge Tarnacki has said, if we move to that more efficient citation system, then we'll agree to take on some regularity with regards to traffic court. Now, out of self-interest, Superior Court benefits from having their caseload increase when we report to the state and our caseload numbers. But the work primarily will be done by magistrate judges who are going to be designated to sit at Superior Court. That gives them an opportunity to train and to experience and to be designated in Superior Court. It offers some assistance for us, and it gives them the benefit of that uniform citation system rather than an arrest warrant. And Judge Gosselin could answer that way better than I do.
No, you did a great job. Just one of the things that you probably wouldn't mention is what happens with traffic cases is if they decide not to settle it and they want to challenge it, then it ends up in Superior Court. There isn't a state court here, so it ends up with us. And we have plenty of cases. We have plenty of felonies that we don't want to add traffic to it if we can avoid it. And having a different process where there's a regular court once a month will help us keep on top of it. And I think keep more cases from moving up there just to avoid being dealt with,
Mhm.
because sometimes that's just a delay tactic to move your case to Superior Court.
So you think more people will be inclined to settle?
Yes, I do.
So that'd be good.
Yes.
That's efficient.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons that we're interested in doing.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions?
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. All right, next. Unless you got a question.
Quick question for Justin. Yeah. So obviously this is going to impact your workload and everything, and you've done a deep dive into what it looks like. And the one request for the additional person is something that would be full-time just dedicated to this, or would you be able to utilize and leverage that additional person for other items in your department?
That's a good question. Well, it's uncharted territory. I have no clue. If they have time and can designate to something else, I'm going to utilize that. I may be coming back before y'all in 6 months and saying, whoa, what have we done? I need another employee, or I need a part-time made a full-time to go with this employee. We don't know. So
Do you know the workload of probate and what percentage, to Chairman Thurman's question?
I have no clue.
We need to know that.
But I can see the benefit that this can have for the county, so I'm a team player, so I think it's a good idea. That's why I agreed to do it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to number 3, presentation of request to upgrade part-time tax commissioner clerk position to full-time position, tax commissioner Nicole Stewart. Nicole.
Hello. Well, I am coming before y'all today because currently we have a part-time position in my office. It's a part-time clerk. So they sit out in the front and they do motor vehicle transactions, property transactions. And we, unfortunately, it has turned into a revolving door for us. We can't keep anyone due to the fact that it is part-time. A lot of times they leave for full-time or insurance. Or we have people apply and when we go to interview them or they get here, they don't realize the government's a little bit different than corporate. They think it's going to roll in to full-time and it doesn't necessarily work like that here. So I'm asking to move it up to full-time so that we can have someone here. So we already have the person, the position currently is vacant in my office. The last person left. And I haven't listed it yet. I'm waiting for this. But just having that person there longer, all day long would really help us. As every office, I'm sure in the county, we've all had growth. We have more people coming in. We see every citizen probably twice a year, pay their tags or pay their property tax. And we just would love to have someone there full-time to help out. I go out in the front during property time. I'm in the front pretty much every day to help out. So, and I will say currently, this will be an increase, including insurance and the pay increase, a total increase on my budget of $33,223.76.
So you've had 7 people in this position in the last 4 years?
Almost 5, because I'm almost in 5.
How long did the last person stay? All right, now, come on.
A little over a month. He said it was a lot for a part-time position.
Okay. And do they come in every day and have a shortened day, or do they work 4 days?
So right now, they're 25 hours, so they work 5 hours a day. So they
Okay.
come in from 10 to 3. They help cover lunches because we don't close for lunch.
Okay.
Did you gather any of the information on the automated thing? That we
I
talked
did.
about?
I talked to Anthony Duckett with them. I gave him some more information. The delay on the kiosk, I've been talking to them since the budget hearing, is they don't want to put it in Dawson County, and then for some reason, we don't have enough transactions and we end up having to pay because they in turn don't want to have to take it back out if we're unhappy with it. How it works, it needs to have a minimum of 600 transactions a month. They charge $3.95 to do a transaction. So if they do 600, that goes back to them and pays them the cost of the machine, which is $2,370 a month.
So every tag would be a transaction?
I don't know if it's, I did not ask them that. I apologize. I don't know if it'd be every tag or if you have multiple ones, if that's one transaction. That's probably one transaction. How did, because I think you did, right?
They charge the amount of every tag.
They charge on every tag. Okay, so it's every tag. So it is every tag.
I just asked you. You've done it.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I was wanted, my birthday was on the weekend. I forgot to go Friday.
Sorry.
So I found one, exit
Incoming.
13,
Mhm.
and it was like, took me about 5 minutes. It was quick, but
And
they
it,
charge you.
yeah, and
Right.
it is
That's one of the
great.
things that we talked about, and I talked again to Nicole about it, is as we lean more into electronics and if you find a lot more efficiency with technology a lot of times. So a kiosk could potentially replace a full person, and we're looking at $60,000 for an individual, whereas, and it might not be the case for this scenario, but long-term, as we continue to grow and even having opportunities on the other side of town, instead of them having to come up here,
Mhm.
it's more efficient. And I think I would like to continue to dig into technology benefits from that process and what it would look like.
You
Me
can pay all
too.
tags, the
Love to have
property
it.
tax, you pay everything like kiosks. It was-
Well, on these, you can only pay, you can renew
Tag.
your tag and you can pay insurance fees.
Hmm.
So you can't do property tax. And it would be great because I know some states allow you to pay like ambulance fees and stuff like that. These kiosks are not set up that way. It would be great if it could, but I mean, I want it to. I've been pushing it. Our biggest thing is, our census came out and I think are 27.
26,
26,
something, not quite
almost
27. Not as much as I thought we were. I'll just. comment
Yeah.
on that.
I don't know if it necessarily, and it was a bad time to do it with COVID. They probably didn't get every answer they should have. So he's looking at that. I've been providing other information, like I told him how many cars we have registered here. Mr. Norton we just had a speaker at the chamber. Billy was there, where there's 5,600 lots that are vacant, ready to build on in the county. They're expecting them to be built on the next 2 years. So, I mean, that's like 12,000 people minimum, coming. So we're growing. I'm pushing that, and I want that too. We're still working with Anthony. He won't do it right away. And I think because they've had to go in and remove some, so they're just a little gun shy of putting it in. I will say, if we had it and we had it for a whole year and absolutely not a person used it, it would be about 29,000. That's what it would cost us. That's if not a soul used it. So we are in the kiosk system, as Tim know, and we have a lot of transactions used on it. And that's what he was saying. We have a lot of people that go to Forsyth, Cobb County, and some other counties and use it.
Where's the one you went to?
Kroger.
Freedom
Exit
Parkway.
13.
At 13.
Is that the closest one
Mhm.
to us?
I think you get a lot of North Forsyth people coming up and using, because they come and shop at our Kroger.
Yes, yeah, I mean, I think we
Doesn't
would
have
get
to
a
be
lot of
Dawson County
coming.
transactions, any
Call,
transaction.
no, any transactions. And that's what I keep telling him. And I understand he's in Indiana, so he doesn't know us, he only looks at numbers on the screen.
Mhm.
That we're in the middle of Hall, Forsyth, I think some for Pickens, Lumpkin. I think we would have a lot more transactions than they think, because we're kind of that little middle of those counties.
It's one thing that we can put in place that potentially could almost pay for itself, instead of us having to just pay the $29,000.
Yes, I mean, if you get enough transactions, it's no cost. That would be our ultimate goal.
How does
It's
that
only a
work
benefit.
with them placing the machine? Like, do they take care of where it goes, or do we get to try to help figure out where it goes, or?
They have a contract right now to put them in Kroger's.
Mhm.
So that's where they put them right now, is in a Kroger. If you have another one, like I had also talked to him about Big Canoe at that IGA
Mhm.
there, he said that would be a one-on-one where they'd have to get with that grocery store about seeing it. But they try to do it in a central location where a lot of people are in and out.
So if they decided that they could go to Kroger now and stick one in without any
Mhm.
issues. so-
Yeah, they already have a contract with them throughout the state of Georgia. They could just go in and put one there.
And if it's over 600 transactions, does it return a profit to us?
I don't think so.
Gotta ask.
I know, I agree.
Return profit to them.
Right.
Did you say it turns off the machine?
No, return profit to the company.
Oh, yeah. So,
Other questions for Nicole? Okay. She's got the next one, so we'll just presentation of request to update tax commissioners resolutions. Nicole.
now I'm gonna hand you these. I apologize. I should have kept them out a second ago.
Thank you, man. Well, this will put you to sleep. won't it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is probably more a little tedious. So we have all these resolutions already in the books, either from Hubert Bailey or from Linda Tanley. I came in, I think there's one, the accept checks I have. And why I'm asking to change them is how they've always done them is just for the tax commissioner's office. So y'all give my office to do it. And it's just whoever is in that position can do it. It's never been an issue. This last election cycle, there was a South Georgia tax commissioner that ran, and he had someone run against him. He won his election, but the person against him came out and said, these resolutions don't list his name. He's doing this illegally. He shouldn't be taking this money, all this stuff. So they went to court, and the judge did see in the tax commissioner's favor because these resolutions did list the office. So my organization, Gato, reached out to all the tax commissioners and recommended that we put our names in them. Just so if that ever happens here, hopefully it will save us time and money, that I can go ahead and say, it says the office, it says my name. So, and I'll go through them. There's 6 different ones. So the first one is to get approval to accept checks. And if you look at it, it also lists the, oh goodness, it's really old. It says in there that I'm allowed to accept cash. And so we have to get a resolution saying that I can take checks, money orders, official checks, debit, credit cards, just because since that was written, times have changed. So that's just allowing me to take different forms of payment for motor vehicle and property. The next one is disbursement. And that just states that I'm authorized to disperse the money once a month to you, to the county, or to the county, to the school, to the city, and to the state. So that gives me that authority. The next one is to correct any obvious error. So let's say we go in there and we've accidentally, should be $1, we've made it 1,000. That gives me permission to go in there and fix that if we can tell it's an obvious error that doesn't have, now there are other errors. If it's a big error that involves me and Elaine, then that goes to her board. These are small errors. The next one is to waive interest and penalties. That is if there's an error, like if we applied someone's property payment to the wrong bill and realized it 6 months later, I obviously need to take off the interest and penalties on that other bill and put the check on there and add them to the bill that we collected in error. So that's what that's for. The next one is to accept less than owed on a tax bill for a tax sale. So a sample of this would be, we haven't had this yet. If I take a mobile home to tax sale, and let's say it's been a couple years past due, and the total bill is 500, but the actual tax is maybe 200 and 300 is interest and penalty. And we get out there and nobody bids on it. So then I say, hey, would anyone be interested in bidding on this today if it was 200? And then someone bids it and buys it. And we at least pay the tax. So you get your tax, the school gets their tax, just takes the interest and penalty off to get it off the past due.
Let's make a deal.
Yeah. And it doesn't go below the tax. It's only interest and penalty.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we at least get the tax. The next one is a judicial and rem. That is where if we have a large piece of property, we actually have one coming up that I'm gonna have to be going to court on. It's over 300 acres. They're about 3 years past due in taxes. They owe 70,000. That is excess to how much 300 acres would be worth. So I can't sell that. So I go to court. A judge pulls out enough land to cover that 70,000. And that's when I take to the courthouse steps. And they get to keep the rest if they don't pay it. So that just gives me permission to do that.
Questions for Nicole?
You know, this just seems so, I hate to say crazy, that we have to do this. I mean, you know, you would assume, even though it did not name you, whoever was the tax commissioner.
Yeah, and he did, and the judge, saw it that way and was
Well,
like,
that's
this is ridiculous. It's the tax commissioner, but still they had to go to court and pay attorney.
And it
fees
was
and
recommended, who did you say recommended? that
Our
you-
organization, Gato.
Yeah, okay.
So sorry, it's kind of like.
At least now they know who to serve when a lawsuit comes in. They're serving us.
Go see Nicole, please. Let's not say that, Chris.
Does legal need to look at this?
I can email it. Do you want me to email it
Probably.
over?
Yeah, send it down there to them because
Okay,
I guess we would be putting your name everywhere it says.
I've added it.
Tax
in there
It's already-
already.
commissioner.
It's already.
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
And they're all resolutions we already have on file. So
Yep.
really, they're just, my name is added. Honestly, those are the exact same resolutions.
Okay. Other questions for Nicole? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next up, we have presentation request to apply for Georgia Forestry Grant. Emergency Service Director Danny Thompson. Danny.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is the annual Georgia Forestry Rural Fire Grant. Is a 50-50 grant up to $10,000 match. It's a grant that we've enjoyed receiving for at least 7 years that I'm aware of. Again, this is a $5,000 match on behalf of the county. The grant will not be awarded until March of 2022. So we'll be into new budget money and therefore we'll have funds available to be able to support our end of it. And we're just asking for permission to be able to submit. And then it does have to be submitted by December 1, but we can wait to the next voting session.
Questions for Danny? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, we have presentation of 2021 Dawson County surplus list, Fleet Services Director Shannon Harbin. Shannon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hope you're doing well. I'm here before you today to ask for approval to sell our current surplus items. I have provided you a list of various vehicles and equipment and items, and a couple of them have some stipulations that we hold on to them until the new vehicles come in due to the chip shortage to remain in service. And I'd like to ask you all to approve this list as submitted. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Questions for Shannon? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, we have presentation of rate adjustments for recreation programs, Park and Recreation Director Matt Payne. Matt.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a hard copy of what you're going to see on your computer screen, just so you can take it home, take a look at it.
Will this put us to sleep too?
It could if I broke it out.
No, I'm talking about when we read it
Oh, no,
tonight.
this is-
Oh, okay, all right. So I'll read this during the daytime.
Fortunately, typically I come in and I get to talk to you about some fun stuff and some great programs and a lot of fun stuff that we're doing with our kids and seniors. But today, unfortunately, is not one of those cases. That I am coming to you today to discuss rate adjustments for programs, rentals, everything to do Parks and Recreation. Now, just a little backdrop, a little history. I have been very fortunate in my career to work for 3 different entities that all have had the same mentality. And I'm so thankful that Dawson County has that same mentality of that recreation is not supposed to make money. It's not supposed to be in the profit business. We're supposed to supply a very fundamental need to our community to have organized recreation opportunities. But at the same time, we certainly want to make sure that we're not losing a ton, and we don't want to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. So that is my intent, is to come today to explain why we might be looking to need to do some rate increases. We have not done rate increases in at the Recreation Department. I say we, the department, at least since 2005. So we're probably looking at close to 20 years since anything has been adjusted. That is according to Buffy, and I went back and looked at as far back as we could find it, and that's what we could find. 2005 was the last time that anything was looked at. And we did meet with the Recreation Board, your Recreation Board, and we discussed every detail of this packet. And I'm just going to hit a couple of high points to keep us from going too far. Just a quick update. We are up 43% for our fall winter programs. That's youth basketball and wrestling. We are up 43%. That's a lot of kids. We are really busting at the seams. Good news is our scholarships were down. I don't have that exact number, but our scholarships that we give out to kids who can't afford to pay, those numbers have went down. So that's a great thing. On the, on this page here, you're going to see the perfect example of all of these programs, but the really good example of, and I'm using 9 and 10 boys basketball. Matter of fact, that's that good looking young fella right there at the bottom is modeling our uniforms that we give out to every kid. We don't skimp on the uniforms. We make sure that they are dressed out very, very good. But the example being 9 and 10 boys basketball. Let's say, for example, in 9 and 10 boys basketball this year, we had 64 total players, which is a very low number. But anyway, we had 64 total players. We put 8 players on each. That's 8 teams. We put 8 players on each team for a total of 36 total games for the complete season. That's for the complete season. We're going to play 36 total games. All right. So for the referees at $28 a piece for 2 referees, 2 scorekeepers at $15 a piece for $30 times the 36 for the 36 games is $3,024. That would be on average for that particular season, which is about $84 a game for the referees. For the jersey, it's $17 a game. For the shorts is $11, again, by the 64 players, $1,792. For the officials, which has drastically gone up. The cost of officials has really skyrocketed. So for the
And
officials,
why is that?
because nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it. Yeah. There is no other way to word it. And so the number is going up to try to get people to come do it. Society hasn't changed. It's the same thing. It's just now it's more in your face. It's more in social media.
Yeah.
It really plays a part into what the officials go through. And but backing up, so the officials cost is about $4,800 for a particular season, which gives us a total cost of about $75.25 per player to facilitate that league. If you look on the next page, you'll notice that we charge $50 per player. So in essence, we are $25 on the backside of things. Oh, thank you. We are $25 on the backside of things just for that one particular program. Again, that's not a bad thing. We're supplying a service, and I think we do a really good job of it. But we also do want to be good stewards of the taxpayer money, and losing, I don't want to say losing, that's a very poor choice of words. Being $25 on the backside for every kid in the program probably isn't our best business model. So we've looked at every program on this particular page here. We've looked at every one of our, this is our athletic programs, did a surrounding county look. At the top, you're going to see 2021 fee. You're going to see our proposed 2022 fee. You're going to see what's called the MAC average. The MAC stands for the Mountain Athletic Conference. About 3 or 4 years ago, several other directors of other departments in our general area got together and formed what's called the Mountain Athletic Conference. And that's the teams that we play against. That's the ones that we compete against. And that's the ones that we have great programs with. So the MAC average, what they charge is the next line. And then the other one is the surrounding county average. We can't really compete with that or compare to that. You're talking Gwinnett County, Forsyth County, some of those. That's just a completely different world. So, but it does show their surrounding averages as well. So you'll see certain things like football, we're at 150. The MAC average is at 165. Surrounding counties is almost 400, but we're proposing going up to 175. So this just details them all out, all the way down to our travel teams, what we charge for a travel team per season, adult softball, everything is listed here. I'm not wanting to go into too much detail with you. On the next page, I believe, details all of our rentals. We've not done any rental increases in quite a while. The only one that we've just established was the 200 for the rental fee for the brand new pavilion. So we did not have that one on here, but all of our other pavilions, the tennis courts, whatever else we rent, we're going to show the 2021 fee and what we're proposing for 2022. Even all the way down to War Hill Park, where we're at $16 per campsite. We're proposing to go up to 25, which is still quite cheap comparatively to some of our other surrounding areas. So in closing, the Recreation Department, along with your Recreation Board, respectfully requests that the Board of Commissioners review and consider these rate increases to begin with the 2022 year. I'll be happy to entertain any questions, and I apologize. We just turned what should be an hour-long presentation into 4 or 5 minutes, but I wanted to just hit the high points.
Questions for Matt?
Ideas about discounts for twins? Same
You know, some
game.
people do it. Some reg departments
No.
do sibling discounts. I think those are more of the departments that are Booster Club funded. Booster Club, they're looking to make money and they know it's very difficult for some of the siblings, which it is, but ours is more of that individual and we got to treat everybody the same. So
It's not difficult for him. to
No,
Listen to that.
I got it.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're a part of our programs. They're doing a great job.
Any other questions for Matt?
And the recreation boards approved this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That was at our September meeting, I believe, is when we broke it all down and put it all on paper and really dove into it. Very, very long meeting.
Other questions for Matt? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, we have presentation of proposed short-term rental bed and breakfast establishment ordinance, Planning and Development Director Sharon Farrell. Sharon.
Good evening. Yes, we're here with you tonight to request to move forward on the public hearing. The ordinance in your backup, basically, we're strengthening standards for permitting, enforcement. We've expanded upon parking, occupancies, rental agent responsibilities, penalties, a license duration of 3 years instead of annually, and some revocation and suspension language. Staff worked very closely with Molly, County Attorney. She did most of the heavy lifting on this ordinance. But it is basically to catch up with the popularity of the Airbnbs and the VRBOs.
Has this been in place? Have we had one in place anyway?
We do. We have, in the land use resolution, we have a very short list of performance standards for bed and breakfast and for short-term rentals. So we've had some language in the books, but over time, the marshal's office has had a lot of issues with parking and parties and such. So we took a look at, of course, other county ordinances where they've already kind of gone through some of these
Like
fights.
which county?
Forsyth County.
Forsyth.
Yeah, there's a lot of, because of the beautiful lakefront property and people want to come here and have family reunions. So that's a fortunate thing about being a little bit behind and working on an ordinance. You can kind of pick up all the improvements from other counties, but it addresses, and working also with the marshal's office, some of their issues by not being able to reach out and find an agent and all those little details that you don't usually see in an ordinance, but this should help us a lot. And citations, with the magistrate going to the citation system, that'll speed things up too.
How detailed is the application? Or how many pages? 1, 2?
Well,
or-
we haven't actually created the application until the ordinance goes through, but it will
Okay.
probably be pretty in-depth because we're going to ask for proof of, it's very similar to a rezoning application. We're going to notify your neighbors, adjacent property owners. We're going to have to see if-
Notify your neighbors that you're gonna rent your house?
Yes, adjacent property owners.
Oh.
We need a floor plan. We have to make sure the CO, that place was CO'd, that they have parking on site. There's no parking in the streets at all. No RVs allowed to be, part of the family reunion or whatever. There's an overnight occupancy versus a daytime occupancy. So if you do have a family reunion and whoever is spending the night, that's fine. There's a cap on that, a cap of 6 bedrooms total. Unless you're on 5 acres and you have road frontage, then you can go up to 10 bedrooms. So we try to be pretty thorough as far as scenarios, because if you did own 100 acres and had a 15-bedroom house, who are we to tell you you can't use 10 of the bedrooms? But we, and with Molly's assistance, certainly.
This one, it's the maximum overnight occupancy of any property to be used as short-term rental shall be limited to 2 persons per bedroom plus 2 additional persons. How did you come up with that number? Like 2 additional, what is that? Just
Maybe the homeowner or the people that are sponsoring the party. 2 plus 2 is just a formula we used.
Yeah.
And
that next one, my goodness, you have 24 people in a house. Now, boy, I'm telling you, that's looking for a It's not necessarily a party. That's looking for a fight.
Well, you have to, you also have to show us that you have enough parking for that many bedrooms. You
Okay.
have to have one parking space for every bedroom. We'll also not issue the permit if we get a response from a neighbor that includes documentation that it's in violation of their homeowner covenants or agreements. So that's going to filter out some of your more current plats that would actually have covenants and agreements.
Now, these that are already renting and got in place, are you gonna go back to them and have them fill out an application
Yes.
and?
When their permit expires, which is annually, and they
Okay,
have to come in and renewal, we will be upgrading the standards.
okay. I didn't see anything in here about foul language. Is
That's a
that
different
counted
ordinance.
as noise?
That, I hope so. I don't know.
And I know you can't regulate that, but I mean, I've heard, it's
Yeah.
terrible. You know, so maybe we ought to put something in there. I know we can't, but I mean, some of these people have just absolutely been tormented. You know,
Is there anything, I mean, or has environmental health been part of this in reference to septic usage, especially those that are on septic that going to
Yes,
run
yes.
out really fast if 12 people a day are in
Well,
a,
That is part of the
place.
application process. Yeah, kind of a combo of a rezoning and a building permit.
Okay.
All based on number of bedrooms.
And I mean, I guess really the whole number of occupancy, however many people you're gonna have in the house. Y'all are not gonna know unless there's a issue anyway, and it just kind of gives y'all some grounds to say, no, this is not,
Correct.
we can't do this, or
so basically the application process will establish a maximum.
Correct.
And still, I mean, the way we enforce ordinances, it's still a complaint based.
right.
And I think there's
Mhm.
examples of particular units throughout the community that have driven some of this conversation for
Mhm.
specific reasons. Probably 90% of them are abiding by honoring their neighbors and things like that and respecting their neighbors. But then you got a handful that cause things like this to
Correct.
have to go into place. And so it's complaint.
but one little mosquito can aggravate you to death.
This is true.
Did you know that?
Mhm. I've heard.
You know, it doesn't, I mean, you could have a whole bunch of people, but boy, if you got just a few that are,
Especially if they're cousin.
that's right. That is right. And I mean, it's bad, some language back there, Daryl, and I mean, Dale, bad language, isn't it? It's been terrible, hasn't it? I mean, I understand the words, but I don't necessarily like to hear them, and especially if you're at home. It's your own home, if you can't have peace in your own home. I don't know why I'm saying this. It's not your fault.
It's fine.
It's not your fault. You're trying to rectify it. But I just feel the frustration of people who have emailed and I've tried to talk to them and keep them informed. We just got to get a lid on this.
Correct.
We just got to, and I hope people do complain. And then if some of this in here that we've got, people say, this is just not doing any good, this doesn't work, we need to change this, we're gonna need to change it. Because I just don't want people running all over their neighbors. I'm not fussing at you.
That's fine.
I'm just frustrated with this whole thing.
I mean, the dichotomy is the fact that you're putting almost a commercial use in a residential
That's
area.
right.
And that's the oil and water mix. And then on the flip side of that, you got private property rights of an individual that owns a house to be able to take advantage of a new market. But it is, Forsyth went through this several years ago, and we are fortunate, I will say, and I think you alluded to the fact that they've chewed this thing up 100 times and spit
Yes.
it out. And so being able to leverage mistakes they made and what they learned to develop ours, I think puts us way ahead of the curve.
How much is the cost of a permit? Do
I
you know?
believe right now it is set at $125, and there's,
For 3 years?
we're,
Well,
we
that- but I
we
mean,
are
it's
still
gonna be
discussing
issued-
that at the staff level. If this moves forward to public hearing, then it may be on one of the amendments that we have for the fee schedule when we bring it back.
Other questions for Sharon? Thank you.
Okay.
Next up, we have presentation of RFP 394-21, delinquent debt collection for EMS building, purchasing manager Melissa Hawk. Melissa.
Good afternoon. I'm here tonight in behalf of finance and EMS to bring this to you for these services. Just a little bit of background. We entered our very first contract for these services back in February of 2017. Since that time through September of 2021, we've collected roughly about $83,500. Indirect cost for these services to professional recovery has been around $32,000, and that brings in a net collection of the $52,000 of debt that we were owed. The last renewal option for this contract was December 31st of this year, so we released an RFP for these services. Of course, everything was bid as according to policy, and we did receive 2 proposals. This is a very brief overview of what the scope of work would be. Of course, they're going to follow all the EMS policies and procedures that we have put in place for this, all of the state and federal regulations and rules that we have. They're not going to pursue collections of more than the 180 days that's in our policy now, unless it's given to us and we send it back to them to further collect. As you see here, of the 2, the percentages of collections received, LifeQuest services are the best that we had at 16%. We're currently releasing 23% to our current contractor. Okay, here we go. LifeQuest also had the highest scores of 88. Both their technical and finance were the highest. Staff has respectfully requested the board to accept the offers submitted, award a contract to LifeQuest to receive 16% of the debt collected during the contract term. And I'll try to answer any questions.
Questions for Melissa?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, we have presentation of a resolution authorizing the disposition of certain county property by seal bid in accordance with OCGA 36-9-3A.
Yes, Commissioners. So this is something y'all have discussed previously. There are these 3 parcels that are oddly shaped. They're each less than 1 acre, and the county has gone through the process to authorize us to prepare the documents, which we've done. So under state law, we can either sell these parcels by auction or by sealed bid, and sealed bid is frankly just cleaner. And so we've prepared the invitation to bid as well as a legal ad with legal descriptions of the property. And if you're so inclined, there's a resolution for your consideration that we would ask be added to the voting agenda so that we can get this process completely started and in the works.
Questions for council? Your request is to move this resolution to the voting session tonight.
Yes.
Okay, got any problem with that? Okay, we can do that. Okay, any other questions for council? Thank you. Next up, we have the county manager report. David.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just a brief update on the Dawson County Employee Health and Wellbeing Fair that was held back on October the 21st. You attended, another chairman did. 99 employees signed in it, and in that the event, 89 employees participated in the Northside Hospital health screenings. We had 22 employees participated in the skin cancer screening by, I think it was Goodson Dermatology. We had 18 registered at the blood drive by Life South. 15 units of blood were collected and 2 people provided platelets. We had a large number of employees received either a flu shot or the COVID shot from the Dawson County Health Department, and all health services were free and the employees did receive a lunch following that. So, and thank you to Chick-fil-A for that donation. The Dawson County Human Resources Department Risk Management successfully completed the ACCG safety discount audit provided by the local government risk management services on October the 25th. This is an annual safety inspection, if you will, with the different departments. So as soon as we have those results, let you know, but I understand it went very well. So we also have the Dawson County Fire Department received an award from the American Red Cross for 2 lives saved due to having a working smoke detector. That said, it's time to change your smoke detector batteries as we get ready for our clocks to fall back this weekend. Chief Thompson will be able to talk if he'd like to the 2 awards that were given. Would like for him to. IT is pleased to report that parts for the courtrooms A, B, and D have arrived and work will begin later this month. So excited about that. And then the transfer station did receive 7,620 pounds of trash from the Moonshine Festival. A lot of trash. So you're looking at about 4 tons of trash that went through the transfer station. And so that went well. And that concludes my report. Answer any questions.
Questions for the county manager? Thank you, David. Next up, county attorney report.
I have no public report, but would ask for a brief executive session to discuss pending litigation
Okay,
and land acquisition. Sorry about that.
okay. Right, do I have a motion to go in executive session for land or real estate and legal?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett, second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Take about 5 minutes. We'll go into executive session. We'll be back at 6 o'clock in reference to our regular scheduled voting session. Thank you for those in attendance and those that are with us online.